Alrighty guys, we got a pretty cool video for you today. I'm excited for this one because I'm going to be showing you guys how to hardwire a very nice dash cam into these target top cars. Today we're looking at the Wolfbox G900Pro mirror dash cam, which is also a backup camera. So there's going to be a camera on the rear here and a camera in the front, and this replaces your rear view mirror and is a full-time camera screen of the rear end, sort of like a C8 Corvette rear camera for those of you guys who have seen those before. I'm going to be going into the specifics on how to hardwire the dash cam into a car like this because the removable target top makes things just a little bit tricky. Obviously, in most normal cars, you're going to be wiring the dash cam from the mirror over here up and over the headliner and then down back to the rear of the car. But this is a removable top, so we can't do that. And so in our case, what we're gonna end up doing is running the wire from the mirror up and over along this plastic trim, down this A-pillar plastic trim, and we're gonna be going down. For those who don't know, this car is, the frame is called a bird cage, so we're gonna be going down along the bird cage frame rail, back up and through the hatch out to the back of the car. And we are gonna be doing this on the passenger side because that's where our fuse panel is, and we need the fuse panel in order to tap a fuse and hardwire the dash cam in. So this is a generally easy install. The only hard part of this is finding where you want to route your wires. So I'm going to show you guys what I will do. I'm not even 100% sure yet, but I'm kind of seeing as I go what the best way to do it is. So for the time being, I have the left side kick panel, I guess you could call it a kick panel, removed, and that's what holds in the fuse panel cover, which goes right here. So you're going to want to pop this off, and then there is 3 screws, one here, and one here. You remove those, they're Phillips heads, and this slides back and out, and that gives you access to in here and the fuse panel itself. So the Wolfbox kit comes with everything to do this. It comes with the fuse taps with every different size of fuse possible depending on what car you have, and it comes with the wiring with quite a bit of length in order to do this. So we're going to test with a multimeter to find continuity and see which fuses are accessory power and which are constant power. And what I'm planning on doing for mine is I'm likely going to pry this up and run the wires underneath the fuse panel there. Before we get into all that, once again, sorry for the noise. I live right next to a main road. I want to show you guys what's included in the Wolfbox G900Pro kit. First and foremost, we have the camera. We'll take a look at that in a second. For reference, I got the G900Pro extended package, which also comes with a license plate mount and a polarizing filter for the camera, and of course the hard wiring kit itself. They also include a panel pry tool, which is very nice. And here's a look at the hard wiring. So here is the fuse tap. This goes in place of one fuse, and then you have a replacement fuse on top there, and that is one lead. So again, one of these needs accessory power and one of these needs constant battery power. So you have 2 fuse taps, and that connects to each of these. So again, you can see here we have the ground wire right here, and then one of these is accessory, ACC, and one of these is B+, battery positive, and that's constant power. So that's the hardwire kit itself. And the fuse taps, again, they give you every possible size of fuse. So obviously mine is a whole lot bigger than that. They give you 3 different sizes, and I think that should cover 99% of cars, if not every car. Once again, the pry tool comes in very handy. And now we will move on to what's inside the box of the G900Pro itself. So you slide this off and you open it up like so. There's a magnet on there. And we have the G900Pro itself. So once again, this is basically just a replacement for your rear view mirror, except it has a camera on the back. So let me go ahead and open this up. I do only have one hand right now, so it's a bit tough. And this is what it looks like. Obviously there's a protective film on there right now, but you can see it works essentially as a regular mirror otherwise. And then on the back side, there's your 4K Sony sensor camera, very good quality camera. The whole thing just feels very nice, good build quality for sure. Almost feels like iPhone build quality, and also the packaging, I have to say, is very nice. You have the buttons here, microphones, because it does have a voice activation mode, and then this is where you plug in. You have an SD card included and your Type-C power. This is the GPS Connect, because you can hook up a GPS to this, which is also included, and that allows you to include your speed and location in your dash cam footage. Say you have a lying police officer who pulled you over and gave you a speeding ticket when you weren't really speeding, you have your speed on your camera as well. There is a cigarette lighter port option. We will not be doing that for this car because we want the full parking surveillance mode that comes with the G900 Pro. It does have collision detection, so if your car is parked and off and you're away from the car, and somebody runs into the car, the G900Pro will sense that collision and it will start recording. And the other issue is that on these 85 Corvettes, these are 40 years old. This is a time when cigarettes were in demand constantly. So the cigarette lighter port is constant power. It doesn't come on accessory with the key. So that will drain our battery, and this is not an option for these Corvettes. These are how you hook the G900Pro to your mirror. It just wraps around. They do also have an option to mount it hard to the windshield. This is the rear camera and its wiring. You can see the rear camera right there. So we are likely going to use the license plate mount if we can get it to fit. Otherwise, I'll probably stick it up here on the top. And they give you another pry tool actually, and some stickies to hold the wires to anywhere you're mounting them to. These will just adhere to the car or A-pillar, for example, and hold the wire in those little clips. And right here, last but not least, is the GPS module. So you basically hook this to the G900Pro, and then you route it and put it face up on the dashboard, and that will track your speed and your location in your recordings. Give you a nice little sticker here, and this is a sticky mount for the rear camera if you would like to go that route. And one cool thing, they also sent me out one of these. I'm not sure if they come with everyone, but I think they do. It's a nice little Velcro patch. It's made of rubber. Honestly, pretty cool. Very nice, looks cool, and good quality. Nice print on that. All right, so getting back into the install, let me show you guys what I'm doing right now and what I have done already. So as I said, I removed this side panel. Obviously, I removed the fuse box cover, and I also removed the lower passenger kick panel, which goes right here and covers up all of the things and wiring on the passenger side of the dash. And the only reason I did this was that, again, I'm running my wires behind the fuse box and down, and I'm likely going to use the ground from this dashboard metal brace right here. There's a bolt right here, which I will show you guys up close soon, and that's what I'm going to be using as a ground. You will have to shave off some paint, but that's probably the best ground I can find in the general area. You don't want to be grounding to the ECM case or anything like that. So that passenger kick panel, let me show you, just comes off with these 3 bolts, which is closest to the rear passenger side of the car, and then it just twists and slides right out. Again, just those 3 bolts. I believe they are a 7mm. So when it comes to finding the ground, again, we are going to be testing the fuses with this ground here. We're going to be using this bolt right here, which is a brace for the dashboard, and it goes along here. It's just this metal bar right here, nothing too crazy. Again, we will have to scratch some paint off of that, but it's no big deal. So with that, what I'm going to do, sorry for the camera work here, I know it's not the best. So when it comes to finding which fuses you should use, obviously you guys don't want to use anything important. So things like the ECM ignition, definitely you don't want to use. You don't want to use the crank. You don't want to use stuff like your hazard lights, things that are important for driving, so that if something goes wrong with this fuse, you don't want to lose it. I wouldn't use cruise control either, all of these sorts of things. So how we're going to test this, the battery is hooked up right now. You can see the light. We're going to turn our multimeter to 20 volts DC, and we are going to stick our red probe after removing whichever one we're testing. So I'm going to remove the hatch fuse right now. My hatch button does not work. That means the hatch fuse is out. What I'm going to do is stick the red probe right into the bottom of that hatch fuse right there and leave that stuck in there. And what we're going to do is take it to the ground that we want to use. Again, I'm using the ground right here. Obviously, I haven't scraped off the paint yet, so you're going to want to kind of dig it in there just a bit and get to bare metal. And we should see 12 volts on our multimeter, and we do. So that means that this has constant battery power. The key is not in the car right now. The hatch fuse is constant power, so that's what we're going to use for our constant battery power. And we will do the same thing with the other fuse to test if it's on or off. So I'm going to remove the black probe. I'm going to remove the red probe. For right now, to stay organized, I'm going to stick my hatch fuse right back in there. And again, I am going to use the wiper motor as the accessory fuse because I know that is accessory. The wipers don't work when the car is off, but we're going to test it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the wiper fuse. Once again, we are going to stick our red probe into the lead right under it and stick our black probe on the ground that we plan to use. Dig it in just a bit to get past that paint, and we are seeing that we are getting no voltage, 0.01. That's residual voltage. It's pretty much nothing. So you should see 0 or very close to 0 here. And then what I'll do is I will go turn on the key to accessory position, and we'll see if it lights up with 12 volts. Accessory position, you don't need to start the car. And we will try this again. So our red probe is still in the wiper fuse spot. We will stick our black probe down here. And you can see now that we are getting just under 12 volts, which is what we are looking for. So wiper fuse is accessory, hatch fuse is constant battery power, and those are the two that we're going to be using. They are not the most important things in the world. Really just don't want to do them on the super important things. Like never use your ECM, never do your starter motor, that could leave you stranded. Your hazard lights, you really don't want to do that. If you ever get stuck on the side of the road, you want your hazard lights on, things like that. But things like the hatch, you know, I can go without opening it. I can just grab stuff from the back. And the wipers I would say are an iffy choice, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway just for easiness. So at this point, now that we've found which fuses we're going to be using, I'm going to open my hood and disconnect the battery because I want to keep things nice and safe. And then we are good from there to start the install. Lights are off while the door is open. Battery is disconnected. Okay, slight change of plans, because one thing I forgot to mention is that these fuse tabs are actually directional. So the 12 volt in comes in on this lead here, whatever lead is opposite from where the wire comes out. So that's where the 12 volt comes in, and it goes this way. So that means there's a specific orientation this has to go in. So if I were to use the wiper fuse, you can see that it doesn't fit in the fuse box. It would hang out right here and the fuse box cover would not close. I know the CTSY CLK is constant power because I've dealt with this fuse before. That is the courtesy lights and the cigarette lighter port, and as I mentioned earlier, that is constant power on these 85 Corvette and I believe all C4 Corvettes. And so if I pop this fuse out, you can see my courtesy lights turn off, and I can test fit this fuse. Again, the wire side has to go on the non-power side, so the 12 volt in would be this side facing down, and it fits right in there, and it will be flush with the fuse panel cover. All right, I just went ahead and tested it. Yes, the left side is in fact the 12 volt source. I just tested it with the multimeter. We are getting 12 volts out of there. So now I will go and unplug my battery. All right, so the battery is now unplugged once again. And so what I want to say with these fuse taps is they come with their own fuse, yes, but you have to, if you are tapping a fuse and not an open spot such as this, you have to put the original fuse back in. So I will put the courtesy fuse in here. You can see these have an open slot above their own fuse, so that's where the stock fuse goes. The hatch fuse is fine to use. As you can see, it does fit in there and it will close with the fuse box cover. However, the issue is now the hatch is going to be my constant power, and now I need to find a new accessory power. If I put the hatch fuse here, the wire will block this way, and the accessory power I'm planning to use is the radio. And so the wire will block the radio one. So what I'm going to do is use the CTSY CLK fuse up here. It's that 15 fuse right here. And that is for the courtesy lights and also the cigarette lighter. So I know this is constant power. Once again, the cigarette lighter is on even when the key is off. I did go ahead and test it anyway. It is getting 12 volts with the key off. So I'm going to use this as the constant power, and I'm going to use the radio fuse as the accessory power. So once again, you put the stock fuse back into the open slot, and you keep the fuse tab's own fuse in there. So the 10 is the radio fuse, which is going to go like so. Push it in right there, and it is sitting flush. And then the courtesy fuse is the blue, light blue 15, and that is going to go like so right up here. And with that, we have a perfect fit between both of our fuse tabs. It's actually kind of even nice that it's in line. It looks clean and organized, and our wires will be run down through here. So now you take your Hardwire kit connector. Again, we have the accessory ground and constant battery leads right here. This box is essentially a voltmeter for the dash cam, so it will cut power. You can see low voltage protection parameter. At 11.8, it will take away power for a 12 volt system. So again, it will monitor the car while it's parked, and it will detect any collisions until the battery reaches 11.8 volts, and then it will turn itself off to not drain your battery. So once again, you look for the little sign that says B+. You can see that right there, and the sign that says ACC. That is accessory, and that is constant battery. So constant battery is going into the cigarette lighter and courtesy light fuse, and the accessory is going into the radio fuse. And just like that, we are perfect. And all we have to do now is find a ground spot for this ground wire. And like I said, I am going to be using that brace for the dashboard, and we're going to be hooking up that ground. I am just going to scrape the paint off just a bit and ensure that we have a good ground can always test continuity with the multimeter once again if you need to, and I'm going to show you that now. I'm going to first connect the ground and test that everything works by plugging in the camera, putting the battery back on, and then I'm going to run the key cycle and ensure that it only comes on while the key is on and that it stays on, which means that we have a good ground. It doesn't cycle from on and off. If you notice the camera is turning off and on in a repeated cycle that never ends, it's likely that you have a bad ground. So for right now, I am going to connect the ground with the wires not ran through the dash, and I'm going to plug it into the camera and give it a test and show you guys how it looks. So this dashboard brace right here, you can see that is the bolt right there. That is a 13 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. I can get this on there. It's a bit of a tight spot, but it will go on. So you're probably better off using a socket in here. However, I did get this broken loose and it is finger tight now. All right, so you can see that we have our ground metal. The paint is scratched up there, so we are going to go ahead and stick the ground wire onto the bolt like so, and we're going to simply bolt it in. All right, so we have our ground wire connected to our ground. We have our accessory and our battery constant plugged into our fuse taps, and we have the voltage monitor connected to the dash cam itself, and we're gonna go ahead and test it out. So key is off right now. There is nothing turned on. And then if I turn the key on to the run position, the camera should turn on like so. And everything is on. Obviously we have a protector on the camera lens, so we're not going to see anything, but everything is working. You can see the touch screen here. Everything is working as it should. I can open settings and scroll through everything, and yeah, and let me go ahead and turn the key off, and the camera turns off. Beautiful. So all of our wiring is complete. And real quick, we do just want to test to ensure that the circuits in which we tapped are also still working. So obviously we can see the courtesy light fuse is working. Cigarette lighter is on. And just to test the radio out real quick, let's see. Radio is working and connected to power. Beautiful. So all of our wiring looks good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to unplug these again and run the wires through where I was hoping to run them, under the dashboard. All right, so at this point we are ready to run the wires behind the fuse box and down under the dash. So my method of doing this is to take an old metal wire coat hanger, cut it up, and use it as a wire fish. So I'm sticking it down there, and you can see I fished it down to where it sticks out right here. And I will then use electrical tape to tape our power wires, and I will fish it on through by pulling it back out this way, and I will try my best to tuck these down into there. So now we can start pulling on our wire fish tool, and you can see that these wires get taken up through to where we want to route them. Okay, this ended up being perfect. It turns out there's like perfectly sized slots in there to run wiring, and the wire just fit right through there, so I can connect them up and tuck them into there, and it's kind of perfect. It's almost like this was meant to run wires from a fuse tap, but I highly doubt it. I don't think GM engineers would have thought that far ahead, but I mean, works for me, it works for me. I'm going to use it. Alrighty, finally, both of our wires are now ran through behind the fuse panel. They go right down here. Everything's nice, neat, and organized, at least as best as I could get it. Everything is accessible, so I can pull these wires out and pull any fuses in the future if I need to. And most importantly, our fuse panel door will now sit and close flush. And that was the only reason we had to run these wires behind here, was to ensure that our fuse panel door closes, because if you haven't realized already, we have to run these wires back up now, back through and up the A-pillar, over the front, and to the mirror. So if I went right here, that would run the wires along here, and the fuse panel door would not close. So that's why I went under the dash, and now I'm going to go back above the dash and up the A-pillar. So now that this section is done, we are essentially done with the fuse box portion of this, and we are going to be running this wire up to the mirror. This is the USB-C that actually plugs into the power wire and the low voltage cutoff. So this will all be tucked up under the dash with the rest of the factory wiring, and then this is going to be ran up the A-pillar. The only thing to note with the USB-C wire, if you can see in there, there is a metal brace. There's an orange and black wire running through it, and you have to wire the USB-C over that metal brace in order for the fuse panel cover to fit on there. So that's over there. And then if I come back here, you can see I wire it up there, and from there we can then tuck it up behind the dash pad, and that's when we can wire it up to the A-pillar. All right, now that the USB-C wire is ran behind the dash up in between this dash pad corner and comes out right here and is ready to go up the A-pillar like so, we can then put back our dashboard piece for the fuse panel and then the fuse panel cover. One more time, I am going to reconnect the battery and test that the camera is working properly with the key ignition and turns off when the car is off. But before that, I can go ahead and ensure, just double check that everything fits in here properly, like so. And can't even tell anything, looks factory. This will be tucked back up with that dashboard passenger kick panel, and this will be tucked behind the A-pillar. So beautiful install. Let's go test and make sure our wiring works. And also don't forget the 3 Phillips head screws, which I will put back in just a minute. All right, with the negative battery terminal back and hooked up and the camera plugged in by USB-C, we will go ahead and test it out once more. Put the key to the run position, gauges are on. There you go, awesome. And then we will also take the key out and see, it turns off. Our wiring is good, our wiring is routed well, and everything's looking good for now. So let's continue with the install. I'll now also disconnect the negative terminal once again, since I do have the doors open and I don't want to drain my battery with the lights. All right, at this point, everything is buttoned up down here and we are ready to reinstall our passenger kick panel. You're just gonna tuck all these wires up here and tuck the dash cam wire as well with it. And that's all there is to it. You slide it in and rotate it and then put in the 3 screws. Don't forget to connect your footwell light right here. And that's all there is to it. And then from here, you can remove these 3 screws to help get the wire behind, but you'll take the Wolfbox provided wire tuck tool and you'll simply tuck the wire in like so. Work your way down. I started from the middle just because it's a bit easier that way. And yeah, literally just tuck the wire back there. You can go the extra mile and tuck the wire all the way under the panel there, but I'm gonna leave it like this for now. In the future, I might move it under. I'll see how I feel and if it bothers me at all. And then from there, you're going to tuck the wire under the front section here, like so. You can use your fingers, or you can also use the tuck tool if you have to. You'll then put back each of these A-pillar screws, and you can see that we are left with a nice length wire, which is perfect for the new mirror. We'll go right there. You'll then take your G900Pro and put on the included mirror straps, and you'll essentially just line up the dash cam on the side of the mirror, ensure the mirror straps are over your factory mirror, and apply it like so, and you hook the mirror straps to these hooks on the bottom. Once the mirror is attached and sturdy, you will simply take the USB-C and plug it in right on top. We are now finished with the installation of the G900Pro mirror screen and front dash cam, and we can move on to the rear camera. From here, we can remove this rear black plastic trim in order to see what we're working with and find an area that we can route our wiring. All right, so with the rear end off, you pull back this foam right here. And what I did was I actually just went ahead and drilled a small hole that I can feed the wire through, and then I'll route it there. So this is just the kind of fiberglass, and that leads to the rear end behind the tail lights, and it leads up there. And so once again, I'll use the wire fish tool that I made right here. I'll stick it in the hole, tape the wire to it, and pull it through. And then after this, to seal up this hole, I will use some epoxy around the wire to make my own essentially makeshift grommet to keep it weather tight and ensure that no water or moisture gets through there or in there, and we'll be good to go. I know it's very daunting to drill a hole in your car, but there's really just no other way to do it. There is a factory grommet through the wall here to get the wiring for the antenna motor, but it's much more of a pain to do that, and the wire does not fit in that hole. There's quite a few wires already in there, so it just doesn't really fit. I think drilling the hole is the best way to go about it. It's no different than what the factory does to run these wires. You're just drilling a new hole and sealing it up yourself instead of the factory having it sealed with a grommet. All right, using the hook tool I made, once again, it is routed through. Wire comes out here and we can begin routing it along the side of the car. I did put one of the sticky wire hooks right here because you want to ensure that the wire does not get caught in your privacy cover. That's what this roll is. Obviously it unrolls out. You don't want the wire to get caught in there, so run it over. And now I'm running it behind this black panel right here, and we're gonna run it down below where that defrost wire is for the rear defroster. And then we're gonna go down. All right, the wire is ran along here behind this black plastic. Make sure you guys keep in mind to put the wire above the screw so that it holds it up there. I already did so with this one. And we are coming around and under this wire and you can see I am tucking it under here now. All right, the wire is now ran down this way. I'm going to tuck it in here once I'm done, but just leave some slack if you do end up doing that, and it goes all the way down. Now I'm getting it right over to the side here is where we're at. All right, mind the dirty car, by the way. I haven't cleaned this thing in weeks. We've just had nonstop rain and I haven't bothered washing the car. Anyway, we got the wire ran all along the frame rail plastic, and now we're going to go up in the same exact way we did before with the driver's side, and we're going to go up and over, and then we are done, guys. All right, we are now fully wired up and plugged in with our rear camera right here. Again, that's just the exact same process as what we did on the passenger side, except we're now doing it on the driver's side. Again, you can remove these screws if you need help to pull this down, but the pry tool does most of the job. I did take this one out, and I'm going to go ahead and put that back now. Again, only visible wires are here and there, but if you want, you can tuck those in. I'm going to leave them for now. If they end up bothering me, I'll tuck them in, but I don't think they'll end up bothering me because this is my driving position. You really can't even notice anything. Luckily, they're black, so yeah, if you had a gray interior or something, I would probably tuck them in. All right, I got all of my wires ran. It is plugged in the rear camera. For those who were wondering, this red wire allows you to tap into your reverse light, and that will put reverse guidelines for the backup camera, and it will also automatically switch to the rear camera. This is optional if you want to install this or not. I don't want to tap into my factory wiring, and I really don't have any use for it. I'm planning on keeping the screen on the rear camera full time, so I don't really have any need to switch back and forth. And I just have the front camera recording the dash cam, and that's really it. So I'm going to just go ahead and electrical tape or heat shrink this to keep it safe, and then I'm going to tuck it under here where nothing can happen to it. All right, I just tested it out. Battery's connected. Everything looks to be working well, so I went ahead and hooked it up to the license plate. Let's go ahead and give you guys a look. Camera's starting up, and there it is. That's my dad's Suburban right there. That's pretty cool. We are parked very close to it, so this will show me exactly how far away I am from whatever I'm parking in front of. And yeah, awesome. You can switch to the front camera, which is currently taped still. I'll move that in a second, but that's the rear camera. You know, I'll go ahead and do it now just to show you guys. There we go. We got two Suburbans, my Suburban, my dad's Suburban, and we can switch back and forth from front or rear. Well, that's front and rear, and then you could do both. So that's the rear camera. Alrighty, guys, I just got everything buttoned up. I epoxied the hole and ensured that the wires are in the middle of the epoxy while it dried. It looks pretty dang good. I'm gonna go ahead and start up the car, and we can finally take this off. See how it looks. Just takes a second to turn on. There it is. Rear camera, front camera. Adjust this a bit, and that's the front and rear view. Pretty damn cool. It's my hand. It's my dad's Suburban back there. I'm gonna keep it on rear for now. Nice. Alrighty, guys, here's how it looks just on the road itself. Again, we can switch to the front camera or both of them combined. It's pretty cool. Working great so far. The screen looks amazing, I gotta say. Might be hard to tell on camera, but it's a very good looking screen. You can see this guy right behind me. I'll show you how it looks going down the road in just a second here. So take a look at that. Everything looks good. Everything's working well. Our wiring was done correctly. The camera turns off when the car is off, which is what we're looking for. That's the front view, which is a 4K camera, Sony sensor. Looks very good. And the side-by-side front and rear also looks very good. I mean, you can just get total 360 monitoring of the car. You can see everything that's around you. This is what I'm planning on keeping it on most of the time though, but it's looking really good. Also, guys, do not forget to put the polarizing filter onto the front camera. You got it right here. This just keeps the reflections down, makes the video quality a whole lot better. This is included in the extended kit, or you could buy it separately. It's up to you. I got the extended kit, so I'm going to go and put it on there. Just goes right onto the front camera there, and I think it just sort of presses on pretty much, just like that. You got to push it on a little further though. Alrighty, guys, I just wanted to do a quick nighttime test. Also, no, I'm not out of gas. Again, my fuel sender's bad, so don't leave that comment. I always get those comments. But anyway, quick nighttime test. The night vision on the camera is surprisingly good. It's looking nice. That's how dark it is outside. It's not pitch black yet. It's like just after sunset, but it's looking pretty good. That's the front camera. I don't have my headlights on either, by the way. It's the fog lights. And that's both of them together. And back to the rear camera. I'll get another shot once it's actually fully pitch black outside, but for now, this is what it's looking like. Pretty dang good. Alrighty, so here it is. It's fully dark now and nighttime, and this is what the camera looks like. That's the rear camera, of course. So again, pretty decent night vision. Obviously, there are some street lights and stuff, but like here's the front camera. Also looks great. And again, guys, this looks much better in person than it does on camera, of course, as you would expect. Also, my windshield is pretty darn dirty, so makes the quality just a bit worse. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. Looking good for sure. All right, guys. Thank you guys again for watching this video. I hope it did help you guys out. If you have the same Corvette or a similar car with a target top and you were wondering how you can do this with a front and rear dash cam, I hope it did help you guys out. Thank you guys again for watching. The next video is on this. There's going to be one uploaded just in the next few days. And it's going to be sort of the features that the G900 Pro has, a couple of the best use cases for it. And it's going to be more of a review and how to use the dash cam, because there's a whole lot of settings and a whole lot of features to go through on this thing. Don't forget that there is a discount link down in the description below this video. If you do want to pick up a G900 Pro dash cam, that link gives you $10 off, and it can be combined with any other discounts they have on the site. They usually have quite a few discounts going, different promotions running. So check it out, see what they got, and see if there's anything you like. So thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video on this thing. There's going to be a whole lot more. So thank you guys. Have a good one.